Good evening and welcome to the Cover One Buffalo podcast. You are joining your host, Greg Tompsett, along with my victorious partner in crime, Aaron Quinn. Aaron, I was unaware that flags could go in our favor. Did you know that was possible?
Yeah, man. We knew this was going to be one of those close games for the Bills. And it finally one score game goes their way. I don't know if it was just probabilities at some point. We were just bound to win one, but find a way to get out of Kansas City with a 1-score win. So you are here tonight, Greg. Why are we here tonight talking to these fine people?
Because the Buffalo Bills have defeated the Kansas City Chiefs 20-17 in Arrowhead Stadium, oddly, for the third time in 3 years. We've gone into Kansas City and beat them during the regular season. This game puts the Buffalo Bills at 7-6 and keeps their hopes alive. It will rekindle some of the other games that actually went in the Bills' favor earlier today, with the Jets winning and the multiple others going, the Bengals winning and the Steelers losing on Thursday night. If you're interested in that, I'm going to do a show on that later on Sunday Night Football. But tonight, we will talk about the Buffalo Bills defeating the Chiefs 20-17 in a game that, I think that score is probably accurate. Both teams had some moments. Both teams had some weird officiating is becoming more and more of a prominent part of these games.
Yeah.
We had overturns that seemed fluky. We had ones I was sure was going to get overturned that didn't. We had Josh Allen called in the grasp when he got the ball out, and then Patrick Mahomes is in almost the identical situation, but they let him get the ball out and he's not in the grasp. We have, some weird calls down the field. We have a couple that were accurately called, but the timing, we don't normally see them called in those situations. Guys lining up off the line or over the line, we normally don't see in end of game situations. Just a lot of wackiness, but I do think this game was a 3-point game between both teams. A good team was going to lose, and I'm just grateful that it wasn't the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, this was definitely turning Billsy, and you could say went Billsy a little bit for the Chiefs. The Chiefs had a little bit of taste of what being Billsy's like. But yeah, it's not terribly far off from where we were, right? I think I had 24 or 27-24 or something like that.
So it was terribly off where I was.
Yeah.
I was way off. I thought we would see a shootout back and forth. I did not see this many stops and punts and the turnovers too. There's a fair amount of
turnovers too. It did feel like the both offenses were gonna pop at any point. Like when we started hitting around that 9 to 8 minute mark in the fourth, I was like, okay, now we're going to start trading jabs here, and it didn't really occur like that. I think the most frustrating part when we digest this game is going to be that continued theme that you always hear me talking about on the post-game show, which is even as a depleted defense, right? My expectations for what the defense can do, even to a middling KC offense, it's pretty low. And so the fact that they didn't run out again, like we saw against the Eagles, they didn't run out to a bigger lead with how good the defense played in the first half, that the offense couldn't, get that lead a little bit more of an arm's length, double dip at the half so you could get a little bit, get a 3-score lead if you score out of the half, stuff like that, where you can really make this a more comfortable game and not leave it to Sean McDermott's defense needing to make a stop with 2 minutes left. That's not what makes me feel good. If your defense is going to play good for almost 3 quarters, you got to reward them a little bit more. You don't come down to these real close ones. But luckily, the McDermott defense did end up holding. But you don't want to put your back against the wall in that way.
Yeah. And there's some stuff we'll get into when we do the drive-by-drive. There's some things, and I've seen some good comments here. Mexico Marty here, the Tony offsides with the D Ford offsides, very similar. If anybody remembers that famous one, against Tom Brady, where they could have avoided them going to the Super Bowl. So I think there's a couple things that, it was odd. We were running the ball really well early. It seemed like we got away from that a little bit later. I love the involvement of the running backs in the passing game, but it seemed to be at the detriment of the receivers. Very little involvement from the receivers. That was kind of weird. So, we're playing a team that we talked about it Wednesday night with Ken. The Chiefs are a balanced team. They have a very, very good defense. They have Steve Spagnuolo maybe calling the best defense of any coordinator in the league. So getting the 20 points and scoring 4 times on them is legit here. Cal saying KC's defense is no joke. That this is new. Normally when we face KC, it's just a boat race back and forth of just trading shots because nobody can stop anybody. So I think one, it's okay to acknowledge that we were there. Here the tree saying, oh my God, a team beat themselves and it wasn't the Bills. I think it's okay to acknowledge those things, but there were some questions that it's hard to know how much of that was our choice, how much of that was Spagnuolo and the Chiefs defense adjusting as the game went on. There was a couple times where I thought we had some choices that we could have kept a little more committed to what was running. And specifically, we'll talk about it when we get to that 2-minute scenario where they gifted us the first down and we somehow ran 3 plays before the 2-minute warning.
Yeah, tough.
But overall, I think this is a good performance. I actually thought most of the coaching decisions were pretty good. I didn't have a ton. People maybe talked about the field goal attempt that could have been made. I brought up that, Bucker is a fantastic kicker at home, knowing the conditions perfectly. KC passed up on a 56-yard field goal.
Right.
Why we didn't try a 62-yarder. I get there's a little.
That was a 4th and 9 too, right, or something.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was where we, you're kind of in a no man's land where we did the Hail Mary at the end of the half instead of trying for a 62-yarder. People get really mad about that. 4th and 9 is an automatic punt. That's not one that any reasonable coach goes for besides late game situations. So
right.
Timeout usage, but now again, the late scenario, which I don't know. We'll talk about it when we get to it. The screen pass to Diggs is a running play. You trust your wide receiver 1 to make that catch 100 times out of 100. The clock, he gets it. He gets the 4 yards you would have got on a run play. The clock runs to the 2-minute warning. So I'm not going to get too freaked out there, but the results made it infuriating.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right, do we want to dig in to the stats a little bit here before we go drive by drive?
A little bit on the high end. Again, Spagnuolo is good, so Josh Allen's line isn't perfect. 23 of 42, so barely over 50% completion percentage.
Yeah.
233, actually pretty below average for Josh. 1 rushing touchdown, 1 passing touchdown, 1 interception that was for sure on him, throwing back across the body like a full rookie year against the Packers kind of interception where you're in a scenario where you can punt to live another day.
Yeah.
Rushed the ball 32 times, a couple clutch first down pickups, really nice one at the end of the game when it was needed on the power sweep. So Josh, I think, was good today, but this was not peak Josh. This was not Philadelphia Josh. This was not, we lost that game despite a heroic Josh effort. Josh probably contributed to the Chiefs being in this game today.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, his legs definitely kept the Bills in the game. Otherwise, the 3 sacks feels like there was more than that. It was 3 sacks for it looks like 24 yards.
KC definitely won the line of scrimmage from that standpoint. Having the amount of rush yards we had and the amount of sacks we had are misleading to how much they were, mucking things up.
And I think Josh's ability to be special in some of those moments, it kept the Bills in this game where the type of pressure KC was getting against other teams, I think would bury a more mortal team with a quarterback that's a little easier to take down. Josh extended some plays. He did some things. It just also looked like the coverage was good downfield. Whenever he was escaping, there was time, and you want him to throw it. Some of those no throws were probably smart, where if he throws it into double coverage because we're getting antsy, like that's also tough too. So he made that one big mistake, like you said. He did probably put the ball in harm's way with some of those, just like lobbing it forward, trying to make a play. Luckily, none of it. Nobody was there to make those
falling
types
harmlessly
of plays
to the ground.
Yeah, but there was a few moments, even when he was running the ball, like it's such a big game that you'd want him to be able to know when to turn it off in week 2 in a meaningless game, right? Against Kansas City with the game on the line, he doesn't know when there's no turning it off for Josh. And so there was a couple moments where he's running the ball and I get nervous still, like what is he going to do with it? But I think outside of that one turnover, he didn't really force it into harm's way anywhere to be the problem. So even though he wasn't having the lights out game that we saw in Philly, I think they also played it smart. It does feel, though, when you look at the box score, I said it to producer Chris right when we came on, like 10 rushes for James Cook. I know he was involved in the passing game too, but the way he was running felt like he should have been low. Yeah.
And he's my next one. This, I think, is pretty clearly the best game in James Cook's career. Statistically, maybe he had a game more than 141 yards from scrimmage, but not many.
Yeah.
Critical touchdown, amazing out of the backfield, 5 catches on 5 targets, including 2 contested catches that were not easy.
No.
Again, 141 total yards from scrimmage, 5.8 yards per carry, 16.6 yards per reception. This is the best game of James Cook's career. Eugene here, who has oddly, we've connected through LinkedIn. Not everyone, social media is all over the place, asking about what is Kadarius Toney's favorite charity. That's funny. That's funny.
Okay. I mean, he did definitely helped us. We usually
show him some love. Right? He lined up offsides on one of the craziest hook and ladder
tough night for him.
Would have been played. Would have been a highlight play all time. Would have added into our streak of catch of the year. Giving up the catch of the year. How
miserable would our night? We should donate to Kadarius just because our night.
Some money from tonight's show and donate it to whatever Kadarius Toney's
would have been,
because that was ridiculous. Like that was not a called play. I called it a hook and ladder because it looked like one, but that was simply Travis Kelce seeing Kadarius Toney out in a wide open space and just having the presence of mind to throw him the ball to run for the rest of the way for a touchdown. That's bananas. I want to say I've actually heard it reported that they practice that at KC, that's a thing they do and mess around with, and that specifically Kelce's been begging them to let them do it in a game. This was amazing. It would have been an all-time highlight, but unfortunately Kadarius Toney accurately and did line up off sides. It was a ticky-tack call. He was over by about his toes. His toes were over the line, but he was lined up off sides.
Sorry. Rules are rules.
Sorry.
The rules is the rules. We've been burned by the rules. There's been some ticky-tack stuff that doesn't go our way.
That's just been this rules. The world is chaos. We must be governed by rules.
And it's the NFL this year, right? This might be one of the more NFL-y games that we've seen where it was just wonky plays. You had the Murray, is it a catch? I tweeted out once, right when you did, I forget, our tweets are very similar, where it was like, I've been watching football for 35 years of my life and I have no idea what a catch is. When anyone, my wife will ask me like, what do you think? Is that a catch? I don't know. I have no idea.
My wife was texting me during that. She's upstairs watching the game upstairs. I'm down in the basement and she's texting me and I took a screenshot of my tweet and said, I am obsessed with football. I co-own a company that analyzes football professionally. I have no idea what a catch is. I was certain that Travis Kelce had not caught it.
Correct.
And I was certain that Latavius Murray had not caught it. And they were both called catches because I don't know what a catch is.
Don't know. No idea. But it's that kind of game. And those are big, huge plays in this game as well. And so, this is the NFL this year. So, it's Chiefs fans. I'm sorry. I don't know how much you've dealt with the NFL taking games away from you, but we've had some weird ones. So, it's that kind of year, and I'm glad to come out on the other side of one. Yeah.
If we were KC, we would be furious. I'd be crazy about the refs. I will say, and it's funny, my wife actually said this after the game. I've never seen Mahomes
so mad,
that unprofessional. Like
if Stefon Diggs did that,
oh my God. Well, and it would be one thing if Toney hadn't lined up off sides, if it was a wrong call, if it was an incorrect call, and you literally stole that, putting aside that, yes, it's kind of ticky-tack. Yes, they don't normally call that, but he did, and they threw the flag. Like, you saw the flag on the screen.
Right away. It wasn't like they called it later
before Kelce even caught the ball. He already had thrown the flag that, hey, sorry, your guy. Now, it ended up being an amazing, again, probably all-time highlight type play.
Yeah.
But so like, I don't know if nobody told him that, but like it was kind of embarrassing. Like, for a guy who I think is incredibly classy, I think Patrick Mahomes is a very, very classy competitor. Like, he deserves all the praise, all the awards, everything. That was like, you had to be held back by 5 or 6 teammates from attacking a ref.
And it sounds
weird.
Josh went up to talk. Josh has suffered some horrible losses and gone up to the quarterbacks of whatever team and said by gosh, golly, he's like leaned into them.
Yes, it says the right things.
Says all the right things in those moments that are tough. And that's what I thought got me, like, whatever, screaming the sideline. I wasn't sure if he was screaming at Toney or if it was attacking the ref. I guess you're saying it was like he was.
I'm certain. I am
Okay.
certain that
I
he
didn't
was
see.
screaming over top of the people at the ref specifically.
Yeah, that
to
would
the
probably
point
be a
where
penalty on somebody else.
I kind of think he might get fined.
Yeah.
I actually kind of expect him to get fined.
Yeah, that's not cool. And the throwing the helmets, that's the things.
Yeah.
The not Josh Allen pointing at somebody as he's running into the end zone. That's not something the NFL should be focused on finding. Like, I don't care if my son sees that type of glow. That's fun.
But getting
right?
off the sideline and slamming your helmet down.
That's the stuff I'm trying to wean out of my own kids. And I understand that
Yeah.
football's an emotional game and all that stuff happens. But those are the things I would much rather see be fined and be treated seriously, as like your stars acting like babies in moments like that and throwing stuff. But I will say it just shows you, Mahomes, he'll get some guff for this, but a guy like Diggs does that. Like, I know I hate to be that Bills fan that will tweet immediately, oh, but Diggs is a diva. But that is how different players are labeled. Like, that's passion for one player and diva behavior for another, right?
So speaking, since we're on this topic and it's here in the moment, say what you said pre-show about if a different player had been Kadarius Toney.
Oh, and if Bills Mafia, if it was Gabe Davis was Kadarius Toney in a moment like that where everyone already kind of hates him, or a Dawson Knox, even where like either one of those types of guys where, Deontay Hardy, where people are out on them, they don't want him on the team, they don't see the role for them, and then you make a spot like that. I feel like Toney is actually like that for the Chiefs, right? Like they not getting the production they expected him to be in that offense, making continuous mistakes, drops, stuff like that. It's very Gabe Davis CE, I'm sure, for Chiefs Twitter.
Yeah, correct. So, and sadly, I'm embarrassed to say this. I kind of think maybe you wouldn't be able to go home. Like, you have like stuff in your
yard. Football fans can be the worst, man. The worst.
Like, there's some terrible people. Some of us. I'm saying some of us, not just
us, our people.
Some of us. Some of our people are horrible people.
Yeah.
Okay. So through there, did Ty Johnson pass Latavius Murray in the backfield?
I mean,
or was it just like random luck of usage?
No, I think that there's a real usage there where he's like RB2 more often than not.
And look good.
He's definitely held off Leonard Fournette of getting. Now the conversation was before, it was like, okay, maybe it will be Fournette and Murray and how we're going to handle that. But
Fournette's now purely injury insurance. If one of those three guys doesn't get hurt, I do not expect Fournette to get called up right now. Ty Johnson's playing well and running like some of the stats are misleading. Johnson had 2 plays that would have been losses of yards, but his breaking tackles got it to like a 1-yard gain and a 2-yard gain. Those things matter in these things where against a good defense, you're trying to stay ahead of the chains.
Yeah, and I think there's maybe a point where you could say now we can have a conversation about does Fournette matter more than Murray and some of those situations, like that type of versatility with Clifford got.
Hey, no, seriously, producer Chris, write this down from Cliff. It's like number 1 needs to offer free I don't know what a catch is stickers by Sanity and Mental Wellbeing. That Cliff, that is a fantastic idea. Yeah. We're going to make I don't know what a catch is stickers. I can promise. We'll talk to someone. Maybe our wonderful Wednesday night sponsors Lefton can help us connect with some people.
Make some cool stickers.
I don't know what a catch is stickers. That's a great idea, Cliff.
Ideas on the fly. But Ty Johnson to me is definitely earning the right to be on the field and earning some touches coming his way. Although I think again, the same thing about Cook. They both are earning more, and that's a tough question that we have to have here going forward a little bit, because I do think the offense operates its best with some semblance of balance, but you also don't want to take the ball out of Josh's hands, right? So we don't want this balance to be really ever more than a 60-40 pass first offense, right? But getting those guys the ball seems to help the balance, and their explosive ability really shows through in the run game right now.
Ranting here, the sideline throw to Murray, again, I love that it was in our favor. It wasn't a catch. He didn't catch the ball. Like he never secured it. I get that they did the 1-2, almost a third step, and then kind of he never got the ball. So I love it. I'm super happy that we got it. He didn't catch the ball. The fact
I've seen those get ruled. Here's the thing, like,
sure, I'm gonna take it. I'm not mad.
Yeah, it's a crazy league.
But the fact that Josh got that off, kept that alive forever. That's one of those plays that if we go back and look, he probably was behind the line of scrimmage for 8.7 seconds or something stupid, running all the way out of bounds, similar to the Dawson Knox back of the end zone touchdown against New England last year, where he's like all the way out of bounds with a heel, I think like toes down and like the heel hadn't touched down out of
Yeah.
bounds yet. And that was the only reason that he was still in bounds to get that playoff. And then Latavius Murray did close enough to whatever qualifies as a catch in today's NFL on that was 3rd and 8.
Yep.
That was punt the ball back to KC in a tied game and give them the chance to go down and win it with a field goal. A critical all-time play, huge play for
Oh yeah, that was one of those plays where if Mahomes does it and Chris Collinsworth is a good call in the game, everybody's like, "Okay, Chris, like calm down. There's children watching. Like, you can't get away with that." But it really is. There's only 2 guys in the NFL that are making those types of extended plays, leaning back. There's no sideline left in the world within inches, and just making a clutch play where a guy can even make a questionable catch or not, like the ability to even make that a throw that can get over to a guy for a catchable ball. Insane. Maybe the refs just gave it to Josh on that one, just saying like, this is such an incredible feat that he even got it off, so we'll give him this one. But you're right in terms of sometimes those types of wonky plays, whether they go your way or not, are massive swings in a game like this where really momentum got stuck, right? Like the Bills came out, punched first, got a little momentum, felt like they could really dictate some stuff, but momentum got stuck for like 2.5 quarters there and didn't budge. And so any type of play like that is a big shift in a game like this.
Yeah. Here, El Terrell talking about the Hardy throw. That was also a ridiculous throw that I still can't quite get over the fact that it was freaking Deontay Hardy who was the one who got it.
Yeah.
And I love that Romo
Sherfield made
called
a play
that
too.
out. Yeah, showed it that it was flat-footed off to the side without stepping into it. Just ridiculous. I'll get to Chris Jones in a minute on the offensive line. So for the usage in the running backs, like part of me is frustrated because I wanted more touches than 15 for James Cook in a game like this, where he's I think was the best player on offense, and his best game as a Buffalo Bill.
And that balance mattered.
From a proportion standpoint, I actually don't mind it. If it's going to be 10 carries for Cook and 8 combined for the other guys, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with 10, 5, and 3. Now, again, percentage, like if he's getting 55, 60, and those guys are getting 40 to 45, I'm okay with that. The same thing. He got 5 targets. The other 2 running backs got a combined 3. So again, he's getting 60%. They're getting 40%. And then to even further it, I think the running backs were super involved, almost to the detriment of the receivers. So I don't know. Something feels like we should have got the ball to James Cook more. But now as I shift to the pass catchers, Dawson Knox 3 for 36. Deontay Hardy 1 super crucial, critical 25-yard catch. Stefon Diggs 4 catches for 24 yards on 11 targets.
I want to point that out.
4 drops for Diggs?
That's your problem with the way the offense felt and the way that it was stuck. Like if you have 11 targets going to one guy and he's catching 4, that's inefficient football. No matter how those plays are coming, that's 11 opportunities, 11 plays.
Not all of those 7 were on Diggs, but 3 or 4 of them were.
For sure. And who knows where they go? Maybe those screen passes don't, even if he catches them, they don't do anything. But that type of inefficiency going to Diggs is going to hurt and feel like barely struggling to score 20 points offensive performance when your defense did a pretty good job getting you the ball back a number of times. And I think that was my frustration in this game was didn't expect the defense to get as many stops as they did and turnovers as they did. And you didn't capitalize on that. And you gave the ball back and had shorter drives than I expected. Like I didn't expect them to score every single time on the Spagnuolo defense, but it felt like they were the one dictating early on and then just lost that ability. And it seems it's probably lost in those Diggs drops or miscommunications, whatever.
So here, apologize. Let me bring this one up real quick. Lucas. So my gut had the same feeling that you did in that I'm still pissed at the 3 passes on our last drive. So we go down. The Chiefs have stopped us on 3rd down, incomplete pass. We see that there's illegal contact downfield. Again, I think the Chiefs fans can get mad about the flags, but the safety was hugging Trent Sherfield 14 yards down the field. That is illegal contact. That was pure, plain and simple textbook illegal contact. Accurately called, annoying in that spot, but accurate. So that all of a sudden gives the Bills 1st and 10 with 2:12 left. They are at the 20. I think towards the end, it's in that spot. So they are at a spot where they have It's 1st and 10, 2:12 to go at the 22, the Kansas City 22. In that spot, my brain goes to, we'll just do a handoff on 1st down, get it to the 2-minute warning,
Correct.
then hand it off 2 more times to see if we're getting there to get it close where you can either convert the 1st down, force them to take the first for the timeouts and salt the game away, where you kick the field goal as time expires and you never give it back to them. And all of that is in my head, and I'm frustrated that with the play calls, but you have to realize that is what they did on 1st down, because a quick little swing pass screen to your $20 million a year wide receiver 1 is a running play.
You're planning RPO on play too, wasn't it?
RPO?
Wasn't it?
It looked like it. It looked like Josh chose that because of the alignment. Because, of course, Kansas City's thinking the same thing we are. Kansas City is thinking the same thing of like, oh, of course they're going to hand this ball off, and they crammed everybody at the line of scrimmage. So Diggs, I'm saying 3 or 4 yards. Maybe he breaks it for 15. Hell, maybe he scores. We don't know.
Sure.
But you 100 times out of 100, you're counting on him to catch the ball, even if it is no gain or 2 yards, whatever. The clock runs down to the 2-minute warning, and then we're in the exact same situation. What everybody expects, which is 2nd and 7 from the 19, where then now you can choose ball control passing or running the ball and making them take their timeouts. And instead, we spiraled and probably should have still gotten our heads back about it. And we took a shot into the end zone to Diggs for the game-winning touchdown and each of those. But it all started with a Stefon Diggs drop. If he doesn't drop that, none of that happens.
Yeah, and it's playing. I'm sure that'll get picked apart a little bit this week and lost, and that's playing the results a little bit. I think
it is.
In the past, people would want McDermott in the offense or whoever it was to be aggressive and try to be going.
If we just hand it off and Chris Jones tackles Latavius Murray for a 2-yard loss, they're like, oh, come on, why are you getting
playing
so
to win.
Conservative?
Yeah, you're just playing to win.
Playing for the field goal.
Yeah. And so, I mean, there's not much you can do. It just sucks, again, that there's the inefficiency to your point that Diggs drop. It's really killing me because I don't know that there's a lot of drops necessarily that are on him. But in some of the short stuff, it just seems something's off between his timing with Josh on some of the short where it's, hey, we're trying to get him the ball and get him going where we haven't been able to do it downfield. So that screen stuff's got to work. If you're going to contribute 11 targets to one guy, we got to get that efficiency up to at least 6 catches on 11 targets. Like, you can't be hovering at 4. So you got to find ways to get those ones to work. Because your point, you get that to 2nd and 7, 2nd and 6. Like, it's a whole different ball game. Everything's in your back pocket now, and you're back to dictating.
The rest of the receivers, so 9 guys in total caught passes. Gabe Davis was not one of those. 10 players got targeted. 9 of them caught balls because Gabe Davis didn't catch either of his targets.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen a replay from the other angle on the one that you couldn't tell
the drop on.
Did Gabe drop it or was it broken up by the defender? It was 2nd and 8. It would have been a 1st down or right at the sticks for a 1st down. We end up, I think 3rd down ended up being the crazy Latavius Murray play, if I remember the sequence correctly. Or it was either that or the Hardy play, one or the other. So it ended up not stopping the drive, but it was a little frustrating. So overall, weird usage. Khalil Shakir only had 1 target. Trent Sherfield had 2. Deontay Hardy had 1 target. I loved what Khalil Shakir was showing. That was a little weird. Dawson Knox had 3 targets. I'm not going to get too upset because Kansas City has a legit good defense.
Yeah.
And Spagnuolo calls a great game. So I'm okay with it. But we need better down the stretch with the receiver usage specifically.
Yeah, I got to see what they were doing defensively, and maybe Brady was really changing the reads. We talked to Kent a little bit, like what was, a way to really attack Kansas City was with running backs, with tight ends. Yeah. They're a little bit healthier on the outside than they were on the interior, and attacking that was probably smart to do. It definitely worked in that first half. You saw the James Cook up the seam. That seemed like clearly attacking that area of the field. So maybe that some of that was intentional, but it's weird for me to see Khalil Shakir just get the 1 target, even though it's a target that I've been asking for is Khalil Shakir in the screen game. And I thought he did a nice job. Gets a 12-yard gain on a screen. Like we haven't seen a lot of screens work real well. So I like seeing his usage and get this guy, find a way to get him the ball. But only getting the 1 target seems weird. Seemed like there was a they're not really sure what they're doing with Hardy, with Sherfield, and that type of. I'm going to be interested in what the snap counts were. I feel like Khalil Shakir's are probably down from where he's been trending, with a little bit more of Sherfield than Hardy mixed in. Obviously, Knox being involved too.
I would say we expected a little of that with Knox, but I'm curious to see the snap count no matter what. How much was Davis? How much was Knox? How much was Shakir? I know that Sherfield and Hardy were less, but how much?
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm interested to see the snap counts.
Yeah, it felt like I was in the camp of at coming out of the bye, like really prioritizing Shakir more in the passing game and trying to find ways to get him touches. And to me, that thought like, okay, we won't see Sherfield and Hardy all that much. I know they'll rotate, guys will rotate in and stuff, but I also didn't expect Knox to come back this week and play last time we talked. And so I didn't even factor that into it. And I thought he played well coming back in terms of both he and Kincaid. I thought that blended back into the offense nicely. There was a couple times where I saw a reception. I had to sneak peek and be like, which one was that? Was that Kincaid? Or, Knox?
Those two combined for 8 for 57. With I think 6 first downs out of the 8 catches, which is that's what tight ends are supposed to do. Tight ends convert first downs. That's what you want out of them. There was a couple. Kincaid had a couple where he got walloped on some of them. I don't think we had any drops, but he had a couple that ended up not being catches because he got just walloped on a few of them. But either way, again, I'm not going to get worried about the pass catchers here because the Chiefs have a good defense. The Spectacle is great, but we need more than that down the stretch. The last piece on offense here before we flip over is the offensive line. Some of the numbers are going to tell you they did okay. Chris Jones is a monster.
Beast of a man.
I'm not going to get too worked up because when you play Aaron Donald or Jeffrey Simmons or Chris Jones, bad things happen because they're awesome. We want Ed Oliver to get into that tier. Ed Oliver had a nice game tonight, but he's not the play in, play out game wrecker that Chris Jones is. Chris Jones is that, and everybody else fed off him. Some of the other numbers, underlying metrics, besides just 3 sacks, they hit Josh Allen 13 times.
His jersey was
10 quarterback hits. 10 quarterback hits and then 3 sacks. They also had 4 tackles for a loss. So that's 17 times they contacted Josh Allen or a ball carrier behind the line of scrimmage. That number feels more like what the eye test saw. Because, and again, I'm not, this is still the best offensive line we've had since Josh Allen's been here. They've come together really, really well. The one holding call on Deion Dawkins was so stupid. Like, he does that snatch trap all the time, and maybe instead of hitting the arms, he grabbed inside the neck of the shoulder pads a little bit, but like, that's offensive tackles do that all the time. That's super ticky tack.
We got a ticky tack at the end, so you can have that one.
It's an even trade. We're even now. So again, the offense on the whole, 20 points on the Chiefs was, a lot of people were saying that's what you needed to win. I thought it would be more, but I'm not going to be upset with it. They, I think, only punted 4 times in the game, one of them being Sam Martin's best punt as a Buffalo Bill, 52 yards out of bounds in a spot where we were going backwards and looking real bad. So shout out to him. But from an offensive standpoint, anything else on offense?
Well, on that offensive line, I do think some of them too were coverage sacks. I think when we see some of the stuff, there was Josh holding onto the ball a little bit, not a lot open downfield, and so some of those pressures and hits and stuff like that will also be.
And that's a credit to them too.
Yeah, no, that's Spagnuolo dialing up mixes of blitzes, good scheme on the back end, confusing Josh, making Josh hold on to the ball a little bit. There was legit ones where nobody was open, and taking the sack was probably Josh's best move in certain situations.
And he threw the ball away several times. They're trying to be smart, and sometimes again, especially when you get dinged for the stupid intentional grounding.
Correct. Stuff. No, and then on the you had mentioned the punt, and then my big thing on special teams is Sam Martin finally had some consistency back in the punt game, but then they give up a big return. Like, there has been no
he finally uncorked a 61-yarder, and we give a 25-yard return back the other way.
It's just like, man, you can't just play a clean game of special teams this year to save you. So
Tyler Bass made every kick, but he made my butthole pucker on all 4 of them.
Man, don't feel great right now.
All of them were super close to the upright. All of them went in, so I'll take it. But
the conditions must have been a little bit worse in KC, though, to not see them allow kickers to make those big field goals attempts that we're talking about. Yeah,
Bucker and Bass both have cannons for a leg, and neither team let them take long ones.
So
real quick before we flip over to talk about the defense, everybody who's in here, press that like button. It goes a long ways in today's social media world, that's the way. We would love it if you went and told people about the Cover One Buffalo podcast and other shows on Cover One, and that would be great. I welcome that as well. But all you need to do is press the like button. So wherever you're watching right now, just press like. That's how you let the algorithm know that, hey, I enjoyed watching this, and I think other people should check it out too. That would go a long ways. We really, really appreciate it.
It's the Christmas season. That's the season of giving. So give us a like.
Give us a like. Give us a like. All right. On defense, I was fully prepared for another Eagles game where, like, hey, first half we did really, really good.
Didn't get a big lead, but we should have.
Probably should have had a bigger lead than what we did, but the defense only gave up one score, just like Philadelphia. And I'm like, oh, here we go. Gonna unravel again. And I will say they did make us feel that way because there were several moments where it felt like it was unraveling, but we have to give credit. The Bills defense in the second half came up with a fumble, got a critical field goal stop, got a huge 3 and out in a tied game late that was a big time spot, and then obviously
turnover really
made the stops down the stretch for the ultimate overturn on downs that they had to end the game. So I think this was holding the Chiefs to 17 points. They're not the same high flying Chiefs, but they still got plenty of talent.
And are clutch. They make clutch
and have an amazing play caller with an amazing quarterback. And we saw on that one called back play what they are capable of in those moments. The fact that they made plays when it happened, I think we have to give them credit. This was probably a better defensive performance than what it felt like in the moment, because I think I'm assuming on other people's behalf that I had that same gnawing feeling in the back of my head that, oh, here we go again. They're going to run off these score after score after score. And the fact that they didn't, I think we need to give them credit.
Yeah, and Casey's offense, anyone can say whatever they want about it, but we talked about it in the preview show. Like, it's not the juggernaut Kansas City offense that everybody's used to, but they are still moving the ball well. They move the ball up and down the field. If we know anything about this Bills team, though, like what they allowed the Patriots to do in scoring 30 plus points, like it doesn't matter if you're playing a middling offense in the NFL. Like everyone's worried about the Chargers, although we don't know what's going to happen at the quarterback situation with them right now with potential injuries. But I was thinking that today, like, man, the Chargers would be the get right game for this Bills defense. Like everyone can put up multiple scores. So I never felt good. In fact, I tweeted right before that final drive, like, I don't feel great knowing that they have multiple timeouts, 2 minutes to go here against this Bills defense. And now I have to rely on this defense to make a stop in a big game. And obviously getting the call back helped because they didn't make the stop. So I'm not going to take, you are taking that out of the equation because it wasn't a play. But to your point, they then continued to make stops after that. And there is something that needs to be said. I think Sean McDermott's defense did a good job here today, giving them multiple opportunities. Chiefs can be as bad as they want, but holding the team to 17 points, that's real in the NFL.
That's a winning formula in today's NFL. You're going to win the vast majority of the time when you hold the team 17 or less. Quick update from awesome producer Chris Kepner. Justin Herbert diagnosed with a fractured index finger on his throwing hand.
Not good.
I would say with that loss today, which he did leave, I think, before halftime. So Denver beating them was mostly without Justin Herbert. That drops them to 5-8. I have a feeling that 5-8 record is going to factor into his timeline of when he returns. I don't think it's guaranteed that he plays against.
So he's not going to pull the Trevor Lawrence.
That's so ridiculous. But yes, we are supposed to play against Justin Herbert in 13 days. It's actually a day earlier because it's on Saturday of that Christmas weekend.
Yes.
I think it is now firmly in question of whether Justin Herbert will play in that game or not. So again, another shameless plug. Later on this evening, I will be doing the Greg Tompsett Sports Show and going through all the day's games, how it impacted playoff formulas and all those different things, all the other results, what the different scenarios are, playing with the New York Times playoff simulator, which I'll probably live in now through the rest of the year. So make sure you check that out later on. All right. On the defensive side of the ball, as we talked, like I think they deserve credit from a player standpoint. I had moments and notes for Rasul Douglas. I thought he looked good in several different scenarios. Ed Oliver flashed a couple times. I actually saw positive play from Tim Settle. I had a couple moments I was frustrated with Christian Benford. But overall, I don't know that we had any like big gashes. They weren't able to, get too much going in the run game.
Yeah.
You know, I thought that it was a solid game. Terrel Dodson had, again, same idea as normal, really good run stuff.
Yeah, he
Not
did.
as good in pass coverage, but awesome in the run game. I am very curious. I know somebody asked earlier about the injury report. Micah Hyde watched the rest of that game from the sideline with a stinger, which, you know, the neck is what kept him out. And
it didn't look like he was very comfortable on the field. It looked like he was in a lot of pain.
Oh, yeah. Like his initial reaction was very concerning, like scary, concerning.
Right.
So then the fact that he stood on the sideline the rest of the game, I think this is
that
pure
it passed, whatever.
wild speculation that what occurred scared him more than injured him.
Yeah.
But, you know, again,
that might be worse.
He could decide tomorrow that, like, hey,
Right.
guys, I can't go through that again. I can't put my wife through watching me kick and scream on the field and worrying if I'm going to be paralyzed. I got to hang it up. We have no idea. We have no idea what's coming from it. So that one, Dodson, I believe, returned to the field and was...
Yo, Rapp's got to chill out, man.
That was friendly fire. Taylor Rapp's just throwing himself all over the field, who will play a lot more with Micah Hyde out now.
Yeah. His contract needs like a notation in it. Like, if you hurt 2 or more players in a season, like, we're going to take money away from you. You need to chill out, bro.
And then maybe the most impactful, AJ Epinesa, right off the bat, like tip ball interception, which he's so good at that. Like, almost like that. He's not JJ Watt in any other way.
Yeah,
but like there are some guys who are just weirdly good at like
super athletic,
the timing and the gracefulness and body control of tipping the ball up and then intercepting it. He's now got multiple of those. Shout out to Hans Hansen, our guy Uber, who said AJ Epinesa now has as many multiple interception seasons in his career as Jamal Adams.
Hey. Prez. Hashtag Prez.
Yeah, hashtag Prez. So, you know, again, I didn't have, again, early on, Rasul Douglas stood out. Some other nice plays. Gregory Rousseau frustrated me. He lost contain on a play he normally is really, really good at that we gave up a free chunk to Mahomes. But I didn't have like a single player like, oh, that guy was the defensive player of the game.
Yeah.
Benford made up for some of his plays by punching out the one.
Taron Johnson recovered it. Taron Johnson had some nice plays. He gave up a big reception towards the end of the game, but was still in good coverage when he did it.
That one that like they threaded into Rice while he was like all on him, blanketed. Probably had defensive pass interference.
Yeah, it might. I thought it was going to be. But I thought overall he had another good game, and I just want to make sure we never forget to appreciate him for the type of work that he does in the middle of that field and stuff and run game and stuff like that. And so I felt like outside of his personal stuff aside, and he was still playing in this game, Von Miller had ups and downs in this game for real. I think people were frustrated when you saw him take some wide rush angles and just get pushed out of a play still.
How about this?
Losing some of those, but
it's progress that he had ups.
He had a couple
had downs to this point. Like, he at least had some ups. Like he caused the one where they debated, was it a fumble or a pass or
he moved the pocket a few other times. He caused some
collapsed the pocket. He actually probably caused the one sack that Ed Oliver and Gregory Rousseau split. That was probably from him collapsing the pocket. So, you know, again, all the other things aside, a lot of people don't feel like he even should have been on the field today. I would have been perfectly fine if he was a healthy scratch and not on the field until they know more about what happened there. But on the field, he did have a couple contributions, which is better than before, but it's sad that the bar is that low for a guy that we're paying $20 million a year.
And the real sad part now, too, is if AJ Epinesa's injuries, anything substantial, we unfortunately need him to lean into being better. Like, that's a significant loss if it's any. Multiple games from AJ Epinesa. He's been playing that well, I think, for this defense and leading to
making himself some money this offseason.
For sure. And you need that. We just talked about that in this last preview show, is like, what do we need out of the bye? And it's that playmaker, that person that can close on some of those third downs situations. You felt Epinesa could do that. Floyd has been doing that. He was a little quiet today. You saw a couple pressures, but not a lot out of Floyd when you really felt like you needed a sack out of somebody. But I'm sure most of Von's plays will still check out and grade out not great. I don't think he's back or has arrived, but seeing him involved in any type of plays is better. And anyone can say, I don't know, you know, who's he going to be taking snaps from right now? Is it Kingsley Jonathan? Like, is that going to be much more of an improvement from what you got so far out of John? I don't know.
Yeah. And that does sound like that is, I mean, he was the healthy scratch today with everybody there. So All right, so let's flip over and go through our drive summary here. The Bills, a lot of people were disappointed. They won the toss and they chose to kick the ball to Patrick Mahomes.
Forever.
Do
it.
That looked like a mistake initially. The Chiefs were driving down the field, 8 plays, 45 yards. They were in Bills territory. They had 2nd and 5 at the 30. That's when AJ Epinesa tipped the ball up in the air, got the interception, actually returned it back a couple yards and gave the Bills the ball back almost at midfield at their own 47. So I think the result ended up great. The Bills got the ball, coming out of the half. We'll talk about it here as we get closer. So it ended up working out. I'm okay with it. I like the double dip. I think there's more impact that way, but I do understand the dictation element of if you get the ball and score on the opening drive, you take command immediately, but it also could backfire and you give the other team the chance coming out of the half.
Yeah, and even if you do take the thing about deferring is it really, for me, has to be that right moment. I think when did they do it? When they came out, was it against the Bucks that they took it? One of those games where they were in the
play where we fumbled on the first play.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that happened. But in those situations where it's like, okay, we really got to come out and be uber aggressive to really create a spark. Sure, if you need it, but otherwise, like, I still think the chances. People say, oh, you don't always necessarily.
It was the Broncos Monday night game.
That's
we
right.
fumbled
That's
in the first play. We won the toss. We took it. We were going to take the ball and drive the ball straight down the field, right down their throat and score.
Oh, man.
And we fumbled the first play.
But in these situations, I think the detractors will say you don't always get the opportunity for the double dip. But I think more times than not, you do get an opportunity at the end to get points and then get a possession. That's like getting a takeaway to be able to get points again. And there's so many opportunities in a game like this where that could have been the difference of getting 3-score lead and really just putting this thing away, have an opportunity that those don't come that often in close games like this against good teams where you're not turning the ball over a whole lot. And so to kind of get that built-in free turnover, knowing that you're probably getting a possession at the end of the half, and teams like the Bills and Kansas City are good in end of half situations, you're probably going to end with points. I don't know, man. I'm team defer for life after seeing the way it goes. Because even if KC scores in this situation, I feel good that you can slip up. And as long as you keep it within a 1-score game, you're getting the ball at half. So you can just chip it right back to that tied game.
Yeah. So again, I'm good with it. I think there are spots where I'm okay with it, but in general, I like tweeting about double dips. So,
I do like a double dip.
I can't lie.
Yeah.
So the Bills come right out. I love it that it was immediately the pass to James Cook, picked up 12 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Then the handoff, which again, you're not always going to pick up yards. There's only 1 yard on the 1st and 10 run after the quick first down pass. And then we got again an incompletion to Diggs that one maybe was a breakup, but kind of felt like a drop. And then another incompletion. So it wasn't a 3 and out, but we only got a little bit of yards. You're at 3rd and 9. This one, I think, set the tone that it would have been a 57-yard field goal here, but it's 4th and 9. And we saw later the Chiefs with Butker again, who's a fantastic kicker. And if we're being honest with ourselves, a better kicker than Tyler Bass. He hasn't missed a single kick all year. They passed up on a 56-yarder. So the fact that we didn't take a 59-yarder, I think, is pretty telling there. So we punt it, get it down to the 8, which felt like, winning the field position. But I think set the tone for, okay, it's not all going to be high-flying craziness this game.
Yeah, no, which was unfortunate because that's a little bit where I wanted this to go, right?
Yeah.
To come out of the bye week and get that Brady offense feeling like it felt like leaving that Philly game, that team could have scored 45 plus.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we joke that like, hey, we should have scored 51, without even a lot of magic or anything like that. Just we should have scored 51.
Yeah, and I know there's no transitive properties week to week in the NFL, especially between bye weeks. But I just felt like this could have been that type of game where, hey, we need this playoff game. We got our coaches back. Let's go blow this thing up. And to stall out and kind of again, like we said here a little bit ago, it just felt like this game really got stuck in neutral for a bunch of times for both offenses and just couldn't really get going. And you just saw it in a 20-17 football game, right? That's what it looks like.
Yeah. So the Bills then get a 5-play, 11-yard drive where they force a punt from KC. They do get an early first down. Edwards-Helaire was involved. They then get pressure that caused a incomplete pass. Then they actually get a sack, which again, Von Miller collapsed the pocket. Gregory Rousseau and Ed Oliver, loop inside, clean it up. That was a 7-yard loss. They get the punt back. It was actually a pretty bad punt from Tommy Townsend, who's a good punter.
And Ed must finally have
yards.
gotten his money, right?
Yeah,
that half sack, like he must at least be.
Yeah, he has to be in position now to fully have the bonus in place.
Congratulations, Ed.
Yeah, good job, Ed. Way to get that money. Deontay Hardy with a 9-yard return. We start the ball with the 47, and here finally come back with a score where Josh runs, gets the ball to Knox. We get another scramble. We then Diggs catches the ball.
We get a good.
We get the run by Cook, and then the beautiful down the side. And I love later on they went back in the telecast and showed that the motion got Cook isolated where the linebacker had no chance, straight down the field, down the sideline on the wheel route. Easy touchdown, really similar to the early play against Philadelphia, but this time he catches it, takes it into the end zone for the touchdown, flips his way into the end zone.
Yeah, that flip, my wife and I were both like, man, if we tried that type of thing, like the amount of pain that would elicit through our body trying to flip like that. Oh my God. But seeing this exact play got me. I send out like an inappropriate, like that made me, feel a certain way. This is the exact type of usage that I want to see out of Cook. We saw him drop the touchdown, but it was open. I want to keep using him in that way. Stretch seams, stretch out, get linebackers moving with him. This is the vision that I saw when he was brought in, and you want to just see it utilized. And I think that this is something that Brady does a little bit better, I think, than Dorsey's utilizing those running backs in the offense. And we talked about that stat line and stuff like that. And I'm not making a comparison, but this is the most like Thurman Thomas-like game that I've seen out of a running back in a Bills uniform in a long time, where it's not just taking some screens or dump off passes, but actually being used as a wide receiver in the passing game, but also doing work as a rusher in the rushing game and having that type of balance. It's a real dangerous weapon. And yeah, I'd love to see that the touches total bump up for Cook when he's playing like this.
More than 15. Again, we'll talk about some later on in the game where they did have opportunities too. But ultimately, I think the mix was there.
Yeah.
The fact that he had 141 yards from scrimmage on 15 touches tells you what the potential is for him to do even more.
Yeah.
They then answer that with a kick to Kansas City, where we get a 3-and-out. There was a couple penalties where we knocked them back further and further. The defense ended up reining it in. It was kind of a joint thing between Benford Poyer and Taron Johnson to rein in Jerick McKinnon, get them to punt it back to us, and they answer back with another touchdown drive, this time a 12-play, 73-yard drive. And here's where I really started to kind of get some visions in my head of like, oh my God, we're going to get something going finally. We're going to be able to pull away from them. And we go through, 5-minute drive. We get more Cook involvement. He runs for 12 yards this time. He then, we get Tyler Johnson involved where, he gets a couple touches in a row. You then, get another one
down the field.
Yeah. The James Cook takes again for 27 yards. Really, creating some space. And then the fact that we went in and there were a couple in a row. So we get to 4th and 1. Josh makes a ridiculous play where I don't even understand. He keeps the play alive, drops down, legit throws it like submarine baseball pitcher sidearm, like way sidearm.
Again, Patrick Mahomes and him are the only guys that can do this stuff.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And then, like, even doing that puts it in a really awkward spot. The fact that he gets it off is amazing. Puts it in an awkward spot for Dalton Kincaid, who has to make a ridiculous catch while being covered by Leo Chenal. They catch it, convert on 4th down. They do have a run in between there with Latavius Murray. And then they do kind of a quarterback draw. Josh, runs for like a yard or so, gets contacted at the 5. And then between Josh and the offensive line, they shoved him in the end zone from 5 yards out. Like they had stopped it to the point where I almost thought they were going to blow the whistle.
They should have.
And then they shove him in the end zone from 5 yards out for a Buff a love shove, whatever you want
Yeah.
to call the. We need a fun. We don't have a brotherly shove. We need something fun to call.
Yeah, no, the Josh drags everybody shove. It's honestly, this is probably one where if I was a KC fan, I'd be annoyed that it didn't get called dead, because I think they probably assumed, and their fans probably assumed it was getting called dead. But
They call him dead for one later where he got rid of the ball and it shouldn't have been a sack, but one of the sacks shouldn't have counted.
And you really, with Josh Allen, you can't call it dead, right? That's the point, is let that thing play out. But anyway, this moment, up 14-0, that type of physical run to get it in, and that they stopped trying and you kept trying, made me feel like those are one of those spark moments where now we can get out of control. Like, if we can go out and dominate, and that's the juice the offensive line needs to really start running with some balance and really attacking this team. Like, we can boat race these guys. Unfortunately, doesn't happen. But KC gets the ball back in this situation. And it's not going to be my drive of the game, but if the defense had one, this is one of those opportunities where it's like, I really thought if Casey's going to get in this game, it's going to come right on this drive, but the defense still gets a stop for you, even though they put a drive together here and got cross midfield.
Yeah, ridiculous 23-yard conversion on 3rd and 18.
Right.
Where,
oh my God.
I was watching Jordan Poyer come across the field. So Mahomes scrambles around, does his normal Allen Mahomes thing in the backfield, gets himself space, steps into it, throws a ball, and I'm watching Jordan Poyer come across. I'm, this is going to be an interception. This is great. And then almost from out of the screen, Travis Kelce jumps up and perfectly high points the ball and comes back down for a 23-yard gain. So
that's why he's dating Taylor Swift and you're not.
Correct. Chris Seth here saying that's a buff dozer. I'll take it. I'll take buff dozers. Good call for the Josh Mosh. Okay, well, we'll keep workshopping it. Workshopping it. So ridiculous.
Somebody will have a shirt made before we get off air.
Correct.
Of whatever.
Get the show done. Another shot to Justin Watson, and now you're like, all right, this is just going the wrong direction. We then do get so this is where Terrel Dodson had his flash play that I noted. Really nice run stuff for a 2-yard loss, gets it back to the 39. We get an incomplete with a deep shot, and this is where you could tell that the conditions, the wind, the field wasn't there, because Andy Reid always runs Butker out here from the 39. That's a 56-yard field goal. I was shocked that he punted to the Bills. And this is the spot where, okay, so we've now just gone basically 3 and out for them, touchdown for us, 3 and out for them, touchdown for us, gotten a stop where we got them to punt the ball back. So we now have possession with a 14-point lead. This is where we could really step on their throat and go. You could go up 3 scores and really put it away.
Yeah.
So we move the ball. We pick up a first down. Murray runs it for a first down. We get another chunk where we get a swing pass to Cook, and then the read option of the RPO bubble screen to Sherfield.
Finally does a thing
for a nice chunk. I didn't even know that was something we could execute. Then of course we get the sack, which is caused by Chris Jones, but Karlaftis gets the sack.
Yeah.
And we get a chunk of it back. We get the 3rd and 4 here. We're at our own 43, and it's in a spot where he's scrambling. He's keeping it alive. There's another one where he probably was 8 seconds before he uncorked the ball.
Yeah.
Rolling all over, but is rolling one way, throws it back all the way across his body to Trent Sherfield. Was covered really well on the play. I don't think there was any possibility it was going to be completed if it doesn't get picked off. And this is the one where we praise it all the time. We're going to praise it on the Latavius Murray throw and the Deontay Hardy throw. He makes these amazing ones. It's a package deal. We got to take it. You got to live to fight another day on some of these. Like this one here, you got to live to fight another day. You could pin him down and, again, finally, Sam Martin's having a good game. Just this one hurt.
Yeah, it's not complimentary football, right? Your defense gets a stop and you turn the ball over. Yeah. These are the hiccups that have really caused the Bills some problems in games that I think we really assumed they were going to win, like the Giants games, the Patriots games, things like that, where okay, yeah, that's an annoying little turnover that he did. But then later in the game, it bites you in the ass, right? Like that you had that and you didn't. Yes, we need Josh Allen to play perfect, clean games some weeks in order to win games with the way this defense is, right? And you felt like that in a game like this, especially when I think the anxiety came for me of the Philadelphia game and knowing that it's like, okay, you're up the 2 scores, but that's not enough against Kansas City, right? This could flip at any moment for them. You have the opportunity to really give yourself that arm's length of a 3-score game, which changes everything. It changes how your defense gets to play. It changes how you get to dictate the ball on offense. And you really needed it, and you end up in it's just a silly turnover. To your point, it's not like one of these plays where it's like, oh shucks, the guy got his hand on the ball at the line of scrimmage, and but it's just
it wasn't an arm punt. It wasn't any of those other things that we dismiss plenty for Josh, and all of his interceptions are not fully on him and things that like, oh my gosh. But when you hear national analysts say Josh Allen is probably 4 or 5 interceptions away from being the leader in the clubhouse for the MVP award, these are the ones they're talking about. These are the ones where, hey, this was just avoidable. This is just a play you could have chosen to avoid and didn't. And you need to be able to figure those things out. So again, Josh Allen is still the only reason we're in these situations. He's the greatest thing that's happened to this team. 100%. Those spots, if we want to someday win a Super Bowl and hold that trophy up, he's going to have a run of games where he doesn't do this.
Yeah, or if he does. So like when he did it, I kind of tweeted out just like, oh, hey, there's that one Josh Allen interception a game, right? Like
thankfully it was. I don't know that he put any others blatantly at risk, couple other risky ones, but that there was no others where I was like, oh, whew, that should have been intercepted.
And he can have here's the difference is like he can have games like that if what we were waiting for to happen actually comes to fruition, where late in the game he just takes over and puts together 2 unstoppable touchdown drives, and you're just like, okay, yeah, so we had the interception, whatever. They scored 4 more touchdowns in the game. That's okay, but when it's a close game like this and it's coming down to final possessions, any of those silly ones, and Mahomes, they had turnovers too, but Mahomes didn't seem to have the as silly of a throw, right? It was a fumble that came back, and then it was the tip. The tip was the other.
Those are the plays I'm comfortable dismissing for Josh. Like, well, is a tip ball the line of scrimmage? Those happen. That just fell into the other guy's arms. It is what it is. We'll see where those ones go.
Yeah, whatever.
So of course the Chiefs take the ball there from that interception. They drive down the 52 yards because they intercepted it at midfield. They had their best field position of the day. They go right down the field.
Them a while.
They ended up running 9 plays for 52 yards because there was a bunch of penalties and a couple different ones where they went backwards and forward and backwards.
They got into a 1st and 25 and still were able to keep a drive going
a little bit. Then we got the Creed Humphrey hold, then a false start, then just getting them into a spot where they have
2 minutes, just under 2 minutes at 1st and 25. Like I was thinking we could get the ball back.
That we'd be in a pretty good position. And instead they get the chunk to Rashee Rice, the Richie James one down the sideline, get a McKinnon swing pass. And then
that's where hurt.
I was so ready for one of the stupid like motion tight end backhand flipsy plays. That the fact that they just handed it off to Jarrett McKinnon, I was like, oh crap. All right. It happens. I would love to have seen his stuff there, but at that point I was actually like, oh, well, they scored with 1:19 left. That's enough time for us to get the ball back. Okay, maybe we can double dip and it'll be okay. We can put it back to 3 scores and actually be in good position. And then it's the same. There's frustration at the end of the game. This end of first half management was weird. We did have to take a couple timeouts to kind of save the Chiefs from running the clock down, but we took 2 timeouts in the drive that ended up being an interception that were kind of weird, and I'm not 100% sure. I get more anxious about second half tight ends or timeouts being wasted than I do first half timeouts being wasted, but it was a little wonky there. So we get the ball. We are able to move down a little bit. We get the weird situation where Stefon Diggs catches the ball. They give him the first down. Then as we scramble up and get there with like 21 seconds left, they decide, no, we actually need to review it. They go back and review it.
Yeah, that sucked.
Decide that, oh, he was short. And like a lot of people were upset that it cost us time. We were about to snap the ball. with a running clock at 21 seconds.
Right.
Instead, they reviewed it, decided that, oh, he was down short, but he was down short at 37 seconds. We're going to give you a 10-second runoff from the 37 down to 27. We actually benefited 6 seconds in that situation. And they let us run the play at 26 instead of we were about to run the play at 21. It didn't matter because Gabe Davis dropped the ball.
Yeah.
So it kind of got lost in that. And then we're in a weird spot where it's a called pass play and Josh decides to scramble. And from the 48, if Josh scrambles for 15 yards, it's fine. And you run up and spike it. But the fact that Josh in his mind was valuing converting the 3rd and 1, but not connecting that you're doing this with 18 seconds left and we don't have any timeouts, converting the first down doesn't do all that much for us.
Right.
He needed to either be targeting out of bounds or run the pass play that was called
Right.
to a receiver trying to go out of bounds. So once he ran for that and it didn't go for 15 yards, you're in a no-win situation because now you got to hurry up and spike it. You know, I guess if we spike it with 7 seconds instead of 5 seconds, you could try to run one more play. But again, he scrambled with 18 seconds left. It takes a while to get everybody back in position.
It's like the worst thing if it doesn't go for long is to have a scramble and get back.
Yeah, I mean, a sack is worse, but a scramble that doesn't get enough yards just isn't that good. Like
it's a harmful play to that situation when the clock's going. So tough, but I mean, being aggressive, going for it, because that started with a minute 19.
A minute 19.
Yeah.
A minute 19.
Yeah.
So I mean, I would have
enough.
I would assume that more times than not, more than 50% of the time, we can run a 2-minute drill and get a field goal attempt. So getting to the point where we didn't even get to attempt a field goal, which was the right thing, you know, going out there and just saying like, well, you never know, let's try a 62-yarder.
It's bad for Bass's confidence, probably too.
I'm torn on, you know, in my head, I think a 62-yarder in those conditions is probably like a 15 or 20% chance. In fairness, a Hail Mary is probably like a 10% chance.
Sure.
So like maybe you should have tried the 62-yarder, even though it was also really low probability. But, you know, again, I was frustrated getting into that position, not with the decision itself, because I think it was too bad option coin flip.
Yep. Yeah, no, I agree. But again, you're going into the half here.
Yeah, you're up 14-7.
14-7. It just feels like you missed. It should have been 17-7. Like, it just feels like you had something where you had a little bit more here to give yourself a little bit of
20 because you felt like you had the one drive where you had the interception. You were about to go down and get a field goal.
Something. Yeah, say it's 20-7 and you're about to get the ball. This is where the double dip is.
Yeah, then all of a sudden, even a field goal drive, 23-7 is huge. Now all of a sudden, you're up 2 scores.
What makes the double dip valuable almost every single time, or the deferring valuable every single time here. So
we get the ball.
Is this yours?
No, but go ahead. Is this your drive of the game?
This is my drive of the game here. So if you want to pull that up, that's good. West Herr gets a little extra airtime here. They don't get the reason
double dipped.
Yeah, no, the reason that I give them the drive of the game for this one is it does end in a field goal, but we would need to see Tyler Bass hit a field goal to give you something in the game. I think that's big. But he still went 10 plays, 62 yards. He took 6 minutes off the clock here. And in a game like this where both teams, we kept saying we're stuck in neutral in a way, a little car reference here, a little car pun for our friends at West Herr, but they were stuck in neutral a little bit. And so even to get a field goal out of this felt like a big win. If you could get a stop or two on defense, you could really still pull this thing away here in the second half. You knew the defense was going to give up something, but getting any type of lead on them and getting a little bit of a buffer felt like all you really needed in a game like this. I didn't think the KC's offense was going to all of a sudden explode for 20-something plus points in the second half, the way they were playing. So this one it starts with Knox getting a first down right out of the gate. Cook takes it for 11 yards, so you get 2 first downs right out. You're basically at midfield to start the drive, 3 plays in. Cook hits another 15-yarder, a 6-yarder. This is where the screen to Shakir comes in. So you're running the ball. The screen pass is physical passing. Often people talk about that as sort of running the ball. And Greg, this is another one of those drives where it's like, man, when I feel they're clicking at their best, it is a good dose of run. There is good balance in this team. Getting Shakir got involved there with an 11-yarder. gets you into the red zone. It gets a little bit muddy here in the red zone. You get a holding on Knox on a decent run by Ty Johnson. That pushes you back out of the red zone in that situation. A little frustrating because we've heard McDermott talk about that fringe area, the deep red zone, getting inside the red zone. That's where they're making the mistakes. That's where they're trying to get better at. So you get a holding that gets you back out. Diggs for 8 gets you back in. You get into a 3rd and 12 in the red zone, and that's just killer. That is where the Bills have struggled. So shouldn't be my drive of the game if I'm looking in the film room, because they're not overcoming that hurdle, right? But they still are able to end it in points. They didn't get into a situation where they got out of field goal range, make huge mistakes that push them out. They still walk away from this with points, and you go up 17-7. And in that moment, I still felt like, sure, Casey's going to score, but now you have that extra score lead on them. You've given yourself a possession buffer. That might be all the difference you need in a game like this. I thought it was going to be a 3-point game, so that you got your 3 there.
Yeah, I think it's very well said, and I think deserving to be recognized as a West Herr drive of the game. Of course, kind of taking some of the steam out of that.
Yeah.
The Chiefs come back with what is probably their drive of the game. 9 plays, 75 yards, all the way down the field. Pretty consistent. Didn't dig the holes that they did on some of the other drives.
First, yeah.
Didn't even get into 3rd down more than twice, and both of them were 3rd and 1,
super
and 3rd
short.
and 3.
Yeah.
And ended up, they got Rice on the inside of the bubble, kind of trips for formation, so they got him isolated on Terrel Bernard. I like Terrel Bernard, but anytime you have a top wide receiver against a linebacker, that's a positive matchup for the offense. He comes up with the touchdown in the back of the end zone. This was also when Cam Lewis had to come in for Micah Hyde. So it did look like maybe Jordan Poyer was trying to reposition Cam Lewis, and he wasn't in the right position. Maybe he's able to reroute or not let Rice get such a clean run,
or at least just be a man there.
Yeah, or they're able to adjust a little bit there. So that's an unfortunate one. Then they come right back. The Bills have one of they didn't have a ton of 3-and-outs here, but had 2 in a row that is starting to get really worrisome.
Yeah.
Ugly 3-and-out again with this one, a breakup. I think Snead broke it up with a play to Diggs, but again, Diggs doesn't come down with a contested catch. It's not a drop, but it's a play that we see other number 1 red receivers make. We now get, like you said, a really nice punt, 61-yarder down to the 6-yard line, an incredible punt by Sam Martin. But now we give up a 20-yard return by Richie James, getting back a big chunk of the yards. So that's a weird position. Fortunately, the Chiefs take that drive. They move their way down a little bit. We get the first challenge here of what is a catch. And we don't really know where Kelce goes to catch it, is coming down to the ground. We're not sure. Is it a fumble? Is it a catch? Is it incomplete? They end up calling it a catch because he has some form of a micro motion of a third move. That's going to come up again in a moment. And he gets the completion. They convert on 3rd down anyways. And then we get the Rashee Rice, beats Benford off the line. Benford comes back, punches the ball out, and it's recovered by Taron Johnson. Really, really critical turnaround. And what could have been a huge flip if they go down and score a touchdown there and make it 21-17, that momentum is just crushing. So the defense comes up big and helps out the offense after a 3-and-out.
Yeah, and was hoping that one like this was going to be my drive of the game. I love giving them over to the defensive side, but again, you don't get complimentary football here in a situation where these types of games against big teams, big moments, like you do this against the Cowboys, you get the ball or able to get them to get some turnovers. Like this offense has to prioritize points off turnovers. They've been so good at it in the past, and the Bills are always the best teams at creating points off turnovers, that to come away with 2 turnovers against Kansas City's offense and not get anything for it, for your defense, just felt like a loss within a victory here a little bit today. And I want to see that get turned around here. You're going to make the run that we think. When your defense hands these up to you, the way they've been playing and giving up games, you've got to reward them better than what we did.
So again, how does the offense repay their defensive compatriots by forcing a fumble? They go immediately 3-and-out, where this one we get another incompletion to Diggs, an incompletion to Kincaid. This one kind of broken up. They're not able to make it. And then this is the one where Josh gets sacked. Maybe he shouldn't have been sacked and he should have gotten the pass off, but they called him in the grasp.
Correct,
And it's a sack, which knocks it 8 yards further back. So now they're punted from 4th and 18. This one was an okay punt by Sam Martin, but he gets it down to the KC 16, so inside the 20. And this is the one where I think we're lucky that they only gave Richie James 25 yards because he was this close to staying in bounds and maybe taking it to the house.
Yeah.
And that one was real anxious.
Yeah, something's up with the special teams this year.
Year.
Dude, I'm huge fan of Saran Neal. I actually think he's probably been plus for the year, but you have guys that you're prioritizing as special teams players on the roster, and you're keeping like fresh roster spots for them and kind of playing IR games with other players. Like I can't justify those kind of roster spots if it's going to look like this inconsistent.
Yeah,
it's got to be better, more consistent.
Yeah. So now the Chiefs have gotten back-to-back 3-and-outs on the Bills offense with their defense. They come down. They now, with that return, they start with the ball, their own 41. The very first play, Rashee Rice gets it into Buffalo territory. Edwards-Helaire runs the ball. The one play where, again, Gregory Rousseau's been really good, but I watched him loop inside where I could tell it was not a tight end or a tackle end stunt because the tackle didn't loop out at all.
Right.
And it was just Rousseau thinking he could beat the tackle, and he just left the entire sideline wide open. Mahomes takes the free 8 yards, scrambles, easy first down.
Yeah.
Then Edwards-Helaire gets the pass where he takes it for 20 yards, and you're feeling just like, oh my God, this is it. We're going to just give up a touchdown drive, and they're going to just go bam, 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 all right in a row. We do get a little bit here where we get the incompletion, and then it seems like, again, Von Miller made the one positive impact here. It seemed like we might get it. I called it, said it in the moment, like that didn't look like a fumble, but I'll take it. If they wanted to, I was thinking in my head, maybe if it was the empty hand and you just couldn't see that it was a fumble, I'm like, they're going to probably recall that. As soon as they showed the replay, it did look like he tried to stop.
I don't think he wanted to throw the ball.
Correct. But the physics of his hand was going forward, the ball came out.
They're going to call it a throw
every single time.
Yeah.
So they do get the opportunity to kick the field goal. They make it. We tie the ball, tie the game 17-17. And now we're in a spot where, okay, all right, the defense has been reeling here. We've given up our 10 points in the second half. We've let them come back and tie the game. But you want to know what? It's fourth quarter. We get the ball. I feel really good here. We're going to be okay. And we start right out by getting jammed on a quarterback draw, an incompletion to Gabe Davis on what looked like a drop. Maybe we'll see a replay angle someday. We never get as many replays as I would like. Yeah. CBS is usually pretty good about it, but today wasn't great. And then it looks like we're about to go 3-and-out, and we have the crazy play. Josh Allen scrambling out of bounds, heel almost down, throws to Latavius Murray. He kind of gets the ball, starts to go upfield, but he's taking enough steps as he's trying to do it. As he goes to put the ball away, he fumbles it away. They do say that he had 2 steps and kind of a micro action of a third thing. And they say if the play on the field stands, if they call that incomplete on the field, I don't think it gets overturned either. But I don't know what it catches. So why you ask me?
He did not have possession of the ball at any point. I think like he had the cup of the tip, like cupped in his hand for a second, but it was never towards the body. That ball
never
was
tucked
out,
away in any sense.
Looked as though it was coming out. I'll take it.
I'm not gonna feel bad at all.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna feel bad at all. We've had enough things go against us.
Yeah.
So now we get the 3 yards, then another one to Kincaid. That's a first down that feels really good, and they call the horrendous snatch trap play where Dawson or Deion Dawkins gets the kind of inside the shoulder pads there and snaps down the tackle and kind of flops on top of the defensive end there. They call that a hold. I don't ever see that play called a hold, but I get it. He did technically hold on as he pulled him down.
I didn't see the Brown hold though. Did you see?
Yeah. So then we get to another one. Now we're at 3rd and 17, and like Spencer Brown's just kind of blocking. I don't really understand. That one was a 12-yard play that should have got us to, like 5-yard range where maybe we're debating about going for it because we're, now you're at I think we would have been at the KC 48,
Right.
And now you're debating, do you go for it on 4th and 5 at the KC 48? That's close to go for it range. Instead, now we're at 3rd and 27. Now you get a Josh Allen sack that puts us back at 4th and 38. And here Sam Martin uncorks a 50-yard punt out of bounds, no return, and ends up being just a lovely stop.
Yeah.
And this is where my West Herr drive of the game comes in, because I got to tell you, it's my first defensive one, maybe ever. I don't think I've ever done a defensive drive. So yeah, if the water feels nice. So in this spot, when we just took penalty, sack, and punted the ball back to KC, where they got the ball with 7 minutes left in a tie game, I certainly thought that was it. I was like,
yeah,
damn, that was it. And the reason I chose this is they were consistently aggressive without going over the top to zero blitz. They were creative with it. They ran a run blitz on the first one that Leonard Floyd looped back around and tackled Edwards-Helaire on what could have been a big run play at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get more pressure by sending it downfield and having a blitz, force Mahomes to throw it away to the left. It probably could have been the same ticky-tack intentional grounding that Josh got.
Mm-hmm.
They let him get away with it. Then you have Dorian Williams get home on a blitz on 3rd down. But they dropped it out. Like both times was the kind of simulated pressure where it's coming from a different angle than what Mahomes was expecting, but you're still dropping guys back into coverage. And we get the quick incompletion. We get it back, and we got it back with aggression and with defensive pressure coming home to get the ball back for the Bills. We get an okay punt from Townsend and a solid 8-yard return, where now the Bills get the ball back at their own 31 with a chance to go down and win this game in a spot where I was not expecting to get the ball back in that position.
No, I mean, everything we've been talking about is the collapse of this defense in the second half in big spots. Sean McDermott's defense getting just heavy zone and being too soft, or he, like to your point, him being overly aggressive in some of these situations where he gets desperate, sticking to it, really getting in and getting a 3 and out again. Like, again, as bad as Kansas City's offense feels like it is this year, like holding Patrick Mahomes to a 3 and out at any point in the game, let alone a point in the game where he's at home with a chance to go take the lead late in a game, like that's hard work to do. So you're right. This is a great one for the drive of the game. And I love when defense gets it, especially, their coach specifically had a pretty rough week this week, it being the defensive coordinator as well as the head coach. And for them make some big stands, get some big turnovers, like those are wins for that whole room playing inspired football.
Quick note here from producer Chris. The Bills are the first team to beat Patrick Mahomes 3 times in his career. No other franchise has beat Patrick Mahomes 3 times. So, they're still awesome. They've still beaten us in the games that matter in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm certainly not trying to tout anything that direction, but
I'm going to get a banner.
That's progress. Hang it up in the practice facility. Beat Patrick Mahomes for the first time, first franchise.
That's it.
So again, that was my drive of the game, and it leads into what also could have been a combination drive of the game here, because the Bills, I think it takes away a little bit because it was only a field goal, but the fact that they took 5 minutes off the clock really came in critical here. So they start out with a run to Cook, get another run to Cook, then Josh Allen on 3rd and 6 is rolling out and finds Deontay Hardy for a 25-yard play.
Your boy.
You're
never wrong. You're just late, right?
It was just early. Just early.
Or just early. That's right.
I was, the reason I was excited about Deontay Hardy in the offseason is because I knew against the Kansas City Chiefs in the 4th quarter in a critical time when we needed it, he was going to come up with a 25-yard play in the times where we needed it most. I knew it. So we then go, Ty Johnson has a really tough run for 7 yards. We get another run for a yard. Then Josh Allen, we used to see this telegraphed all the time.
I love this play.
We hadn't seen it in so long. And as it came up, I was like, QB power. And I could see it coming. And we just run quarterback power sweep off to the other side.
It works in these short, dude.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
You were asking about running backs earlier and like how we want that workload to go. Like, I honestly am fine if we just give Josh Allen the short yardage stuff and let Latavius Murray just chill and give the touches to tie in.
100%. This spot would have been totally fine.
Yeah.
So we convert there. Now the clock's running more. This is one where I want to give credit. Ty Johnson's going to get credit for no gain here. This could have easily been like a 3 or 4 yard loss and really got us behind the sticks.
Yeah.
So now we get the incompletion to Kincaid. Now
That,
we're at
that one though is where Gabe was wide open for a touchdown.
Yes, where
I
Josh
know he wasn't the
Gabe
Reid,
for an easy game salting touchdown.
This is
open.
Reid is out for
Yeah.
Kansas City in this moment. They had some confusion. It looked like on the back
Connors,
end of that.
Yeah, it comes up and gets roasted, and the pressure is getting home, and the pressure got there before Josh could see it. Otherwise,
maybe Gabe drops it if we're playing the maybe game, but I would have liked to see him have a shot.
I would have liked to find out. I would have loved to find out. So now you're in a spot where, okay, so we've kind of gone into a weird spot. We get the incompletion. And now it's 3rd and 10, 17 seconds left. Josh gets sacked by Karlaftis, and I don't see the flag like visually during the play. And all of a sudden there's a flag on the field. And I'm like, wait, what? And we get the ticky-tack, not ticky-tack. We get the like annoying third and 10, incompletion or sack overturned on what is a 5-yard penalty.
Yeah.
And should not actually convert to a first down.
It was blatant, though.
Automatic first down. And Justin Watson was hugging Trent Sherfield.
It was a blatant hold.
Like he started hugging him 2 yards down the field and didn't stop until 14 yards down the field. You can't make contact after 5 yards. Everybody knows this. These are the rules in the NFL. This is not complicated or new. So that's not like that's a blatant hold in what should be illegal contact. You're not allowed to do that. And now it like short-circuited the Bills' brains a little bit. So I would have loved to have seen, we talked about this earlier in the show, I would have loved to have seen just a simple, hey, we're running the ball pretty well. Let's just give it to Latavius Murray, Ty Johnson, James Cook, whatever. Just run the ball. Let the clock go down to the 2-minute warning. The Chiefs have 2 timeouts in this spot. So, hey, get it down to the 2-minute warning. Let's see what happens. In their minds, I think that it's pretty darn close to the same thing. This is an RPO. Kansas City is thinking the same thing we are. They jam everybody at the line of scrimmage waiting for a down the middle run. And Josh checks to the quick bubble screen to Stefon Diggs. If you go back, I'm excited to watch the all 22 and see how much space was out there.
Yeah.
If Diggs just catches the ball, it's functionally the same thing. Let's say he gets 3 yards. He gets it to the 19. It's, all of a sudden now you're 2nd and 7. You're at that spot where it's an easy, simple setup, and the clock runs down to the 2-minute warning, and all this is the same as a run. But instead, they kind of panic, and we get a drop by Diggs, a blatant drop. So now 2 seconds went off the clock. So now we run another play, but we're at 2nd and 10, so we feel like we're behind the sticks. So now we feel like we have to pass when we could have easily just run the ball again.
Here's that play, is where it spiraled a little bit.
You take a shot to the end zone, which again, shots into the end zone to Stefon Diggs aren't a bad thing. That's fine. Snead has pretty good coverage. But now you're in that spot again. And now, we pass the ball to Kincaid, get tackled for 1 yard, and we've now run 3 plays. And then the 2-minute warning came. We didn't force them to take timeouts. We didn't,
you got to get that. You can't, that situation needs to end at like a 3rd and 5.
Yeah.
Or less, where everything is in play for you. You can go that 12 personnel and leak Knox out on a play action. Like everything's in play at 3rd and 5, and the clock's run down, and they're using timeouts.
2-yard runs. Yeah. It should have been. Let's say Diggs does catch it there, because that's on Josh made that decision, not Brady.
Sure.
So let's say he catches it. You're at the 2-minute warning, 2nd and 7. We run the ball there and they sniff it out. And like you said, it's a 1-yard gain. We're at 3rd and 6 now, but we force them to take the first time out. On 3rd and 6, you roll Josh out and you decide, hey, if Kincaid's there or Diggs there, if not, just try to run the ball, slide down, make them take the next timeout, or convert and
then go to 2-minute warning. Yeah.
And now then you just run the clock out and you kick a field goal as time expires. Instead, we run 3 passes on the other side of the 2-minute warning. And then, yes, we come in, we kick the field goal, we go up by 150, with a minute 54 left. But we give
2 timeouts. They have 2 timeouts.
With a minute 54 and 2 timeouts. And
Didn't feel good.
I'm not feeling good.
No, I didn't feel great that time played out that way where, again, even if you don't convert differently and this still ends in a field goal, you could have taken more out of their weaponry. You could have taken some timeouts out of their bag. You could have taken some time off that clock. Make them make those decisions. Make Andy Reid make bad decisions late in games. Like we know Sean McDermott makes some bad ones. Like Andy Reid also does. So make him take some of those decisions or put him in conflict. And they just didn't. They seemed like they let Casey off the hook a little bit there. And so anyways, you go up, you get the points you need. I thought it was going to be a 3-point win. You get the ones you need, but dude, I tweeted it out and didn't feel great. We know the narrative about this team this year, this defense being in this situation, minute 50 left, 2 timeouts, Patrick Mahomes coming out. He's got Kelce.
I'm praying we get to overtime. I'm just praying that it's just the overtime is like our best case scenario.
I assumed it was ending in the play that it got called back on. Like that type of I just assumed this game was going to end in some stupid way where the defense just totally blows a big old play. And luckily Kadarius Toney doesn't know where to line up.
So as Aaron alluded to, they come out, we get another challenge, which was a dumb one. Like I didn't even know what they were reviewing.
Yeah.
Valdez-Scantling clearly caught the ball.
Correct.
Then we get a pass to Rashee Rice, who was looking great. This is the one where Taron Johnson probably had defensive pass interference and was like mugging the Rashee Rice, but it's a perfect pass and catch and undefensible. Then we get an incompletion, and now we get Travis Kelce down the field for 25 yards. It looks like it's going to be a huge play and puts them immediately into gimme field goal range. And he looks and sees Kadarius Toney across the field and laterals it. I mean, like a 15-yard pass. Like it was not that close. Like it was a pass, like a 15-yard pass across the field, a legit lateral. That play was fine. And he runs it in for a touchdown. But before Kelce even caught the ball, you had already seen the flag, and I was waiting, and I was hoping it was illegal man downfield. I thought it was going to be offensive lineman downfield because they didn't blow it dead, like it was if it was a defensive player. So then we go back. Kadarius Toney lined up, like a little bit offsides. It wasn't a ton, but pretty clearly it was not incorrect. It was not.
I mean, his foot was on the line that they show is the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, correct. Which
that's
means
pretty far.
Like the midfoot was in the neutral zone. All the toes were over. So like 2/3 of his foot was in the neutral zone. And as Jim here says, he was blatantly ahead because all the rest of the guys who were technically on the line of scrimmage, but back a little bit, he was like a full yard ahead of them.
Yeah.
So it was an easy call. There's a reason the guy threw the flag immediately.
Yeah. Yeah. It stood out once they went back and showed it. But yeah, I wasn't sure I did see the flag right away. I wasn't sure what it was going to be. But man, that play felt exactly what the worst outcome in my brain was going to be for this game. That was it. And I just was like, oh my God, I knew it. And then luckily this saved by Kadarius Toney's inability.
Very sad news, untimely passing of Frank Wycheck today. It reminded me of the Tennessee play. It reminded me, very freak accident, person, his family. That was very, very sad to hear. But it reminded me of the, not all the way across the field, but an awful long lateral. This one legitimately lateral, not even like that one was. And then we get it puts them back. That was a penalty, so it puts it back at second and 15. We then get some pressure there. Where we're able to force a throwaway. Ed Oliver then gets pressure on the next one. We get them to fourth and 15 where Ed Oliver deflects it. And then we get, pressure on the last one where it's not even really close to anybody. And the Bills defense holds and deserves credit. Those final 3 plays, Von Miller had pressure, Ed Oliver had a pass deflection, Leonard Floyd causes a bad throw. The defense came up and ended the game when they needed to. And that's something that we haven't had a ton of confidence was, in their range of outcomes.
Yeah, no, you saw some good pressure. You saw a big play from Ed Oliver, who we need to see a big play in a big moment from on a 3rd down. And I want to point out, Andy Reid took a terrible timeout where their team wasn't prepared on a 4th and 15 with like everything running, the clock's going. You want to kind of hold on to that timeout in that situation and get a play going.
If you don't get it. And if it hadn't have, they would have had a chance to force us to run plays instead of being able to kneel it out. It
Yeah.
wouldn't have given them a lot, but they would have had a chance to try for one more possession.
Yeah, and just a weird moment where they couldn't get the right personnel in quickly at the end of a game. So all coaches make these types of mistakes. But yeah, no, then they get them into that 4th and 15 situation, and then the game. We saw the play that got called back on, the fact that they didn't give up another like big back-breaking play, right? Correct. Like this team is just known to do it. So however they got to that spot, I'm still going to give them credit for coming up and getting the stop needed. Multiple stops needed. You called it the play of the game. Like many stops needed, not getting rewarded for the turnover stops they did get, but then getting the stop at the end of the game to hold the team under 20 points. Like the defense probably won't get the recognition that they deserve this week, but the win is really, this feels like a 2019 Bills win where the offense doesn't do much, struggles to score over 20, but your defense keeps you right there.
Yeah. So this win ultimately brings the Buffalo Bills into a 6-way tie at 7-6. The Bengals, the Broncos, the Texans, the Colts, the Steelers are the other 5 teams, and then 3 teams ahead of them at 8-5. And it just, what this does is opens up all the options down the stretch. The Bills aren't going to win a ton of the tiebreakers. They're starting to get some more conference wins. That's going to help. AFC wins help a lot. They're going to need to continue to get things. But the last 2 weeks, they've gotten a ton of, other wins that have really, really helped them out to put them into a position where now all things are possible. They are in a position where they still got to take care of business. They still need to win 3 out of the next 4. If they win all 4, I guarantee they're in. 11 wins, I guarantee they're in. Hell, if they win all 4, there's a chance they win the division. If they win all of them and go into the final game, it could matter.
Don't start
with the
Miami
Miami Dolphins.
Like that. I'm not ready to be hurt.
Like that. Oh yeah. So if they win everything, they're going to make it. But if they just right now they've put themselves in a position where they need 3 out of 4. They need 3 out of 4 down the stretch, plus a couple more things to go our way. But now that's different. Before it was, even if we won every single game, we needed a couple things to go our way. Those ones already have. Now it's, if we win all the remaining 4, we're for sure in. And then if we go 3 out of 4, we only need a couple things to go our way. That's nice. That's better position. We've at least made things possible. We've beaten probably the best team remaining on our schedule. The debatable one is the next one. The Cowboys are playing the Eagles right now. We're going to have another tough game next week. And then we got another one with the Dolphins down in the final game. They're going to have to earn it. And if they make it, they're going to have deserved it. And I guarantee you, no one wants to see this team in the playoffs.
Dude, coming off a heater like that too.
They're coming off 4 or 5 in a row, and you have Josh Allen winning 5 in a row.
Yeah,
going
and that also means
playoffs,
if they are winning in a row, like if they beat the Cowboys, they're probably gonna have to score 40 plus points to beat the Cowboys. So like knowing that the Bills have put up 40 within a month and are like coming into the playoffs on a steamer. Dude, tough. I wouldn't want to be in that way as a 2 seed or whatever it is.
You're Jacksonville or you're Baltimore or you're Miami. And hey, congratulations. You get your prize for a fantastic 17-game regular season. You get to host Josh Allen and the red hot Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's the dream, right? And so you did what you needed to do. I think this win, in a weird way, even though it was ugly, the offense didn't really fully impress me the way I wanted to see them coming out clicking, but the defense making some stops when they needed to probably gives me even a little bit more faith going forward that, like, if they can play that way, I don't expect it to be that way against Dallas. I think Dallas is going to move the ball up and down the field against, if it's going to have to be a shootout if you win that one. But the rest of the offenses, we've seen them be able to stymie that Miami offense a little bit. I think Chargers, with the issues they're having, like, this could really be, if they can make some stops in those moments, you could go on a run with this defense.
So shout out to Lou here. This is the first time I've gone ooh about a play call. When we do the quarterback sneak, tush push, calling it the snowplow. I'm on board.
You got to call it the snowplow.
I will vote for that as my current leader in the clubhouse and my favorite.
There you go.
All right, Aaron, we've been going forever tonight. This is a really, really fun one. We had a lot of people hanging out with us here the whole time.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts before we wrap it up?
I do. If you are still interested in getting somebody a Christmas present, you have a Bills fan in your life that just they talk too much. You don't want to hear about how much they love Josh Allen. I was at a Christmas party last night, and there was like a corner of us just like all going off on the Bills. And I think that they would be prime candidates to get this if any of their wives are listening. But we got a couple people that want to tell you how you can not only get a gift for somebody in your life that loves Bills, but also help support this network. We hear it all the time. How can people support? Well, it's the holidays. Now's the time to do it. And listen to these guys explain why.
Many people ask us the best way to support us here at Cover One, and that is to sign up to become a Cover One OnePass member. That contribution helps give us the access to all the data and information we use to create the content that you love.
And I think most importantly, brings you into our community of insiders. It's a great community based on Slack. I know a lot of people don't want to be on social media anymore or be in on those conversations. We bring all of it to you right in our great community of educated fans. And most importantly, you get access to our content creators.
Even better than that, everybody loves merch. You get awesome t-shirts, a cool decal, and a letter from the Cover One team signed directly to you.
All for $60. That gets you the entire season, next year's free agency and draft. $60. Click the link in the description. Cover One Insider. Become one today.
So again, any of the final things here that we asked for, besides those really, sharp, intelligent gentlemen who just gave you a great gift idea, help us out. Give us a like on your way out. Come and give us a comment. Leave a comment here on what your drive of the game was or your favorite one. John here, his wife loves the Cover One t-shirt. Right. I get to see pics of those all the time. We really, really appreciate it and love it for everybody who's hanging out with us here tonight. Long show, but I think worth it with a really important, hopefully season-saving win.
Yes, hopefully this is the start of that special run that we'll talk about when they're struggling again in November in 2026 or whatever. Yeah, like, remember that run they went on? Yeah. That's how we hope this is that.
We need it. We need it.
Yeah.
All right. So we appreciate it. The chat was fantastic. Our producer, Chris Kepner, went through all of your comments here. Is fantastic. But on behalf of Aaron Quinn, I am Greg Tompsett. You've been listening to the Cover One Buffalo podcast, and we are out.